Hi, I'm Julia Sarah Stone, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so happy to be joined by Julia Sarah Stone. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. It's been a while since we last spoke, 11
Yeah.
years, so
Yeah.
it's so nice to be able to reconnect and chat about your new project in off campus. But before we get into the show, you've been acting professionally for around 15 years now. How would you say you've grown as an artist and storyteller?
I think every character has taught me something about myself, and also about my process and how I like to work as an actor. Because every character requires a little bit of a different approach. I'm always finding like a new key into the character as I'm discovering them. So yeah, I think there's just so much that each character can has taught me about myself. Um, and I also think just life experience with any form of art and storytelling, more life experience gives you different perspectives and more to draw on and more to kind of relate to with the different characters.
I love that. And I know
Yeah.
you said in a past interviews that you make it a goal of yours every new project to follow curiosity in your
Mhm.
creative work. So you talked about, unlocking like a key, and I'm sure it helps kind of keep that spark and passion for your craft alive with every new
Mhm.
project and every new story you get to delve into.
Yeah, yeah, it's what I love about acting. There's always something new to discover, and I don't think I don't think I don't think I'm the kind of person who could feel fulfilled in a job that I didn't get to keep discovering new things. I think that's part of what keeps it exciting.
Which past project has been the most pivotal and eye-opening for you personally in your career?
It's so hard to say because I love all of them. um, I just yeah, I genuinely fall in love with every character that I play, but I would say the two that really stick out for me are probably Come True and Honeybee. Probably mostly because those both happened kind of at really a really pivotal point in my life where I feel like I was going through some growing pains both as an actor, kind of getting to that new level of depth, and also as a person. I it was a very it was a very growth oriented time for me, and both of those projects I'm very proud of, and they meant a lot to me.
Do you think while you were playing these characters that they really helped you learn something about yourself and maybe helped you like through that journey
Yeah,
spiritually, mentally, emotionally?
absolutely. Yeah. And I think every character has been that way for me a little bit. And it's almost it's like they are these people that you kind of meet throughout life when you're in a certain point in your life, and then they are kind of there to hold your hand and guide you through until they are no longer, you part ways some way or another, and that's just kind of how it was meant to be. It is kind of like that where like, oh, this character was kind of there for me in this point of my life where it just so happened that I needed them for some reason or another, and they taught me some things, and then we had to part ways. But yeah, they're kind of always there in my story.
And you're stronger because of it
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
wiser as well. And I'm glad you always get to have these great experiences, with projects you've been a part of so many over the years, including the one that we will get into, which is off campus. And I will note for all those watching that we are discussing season one spoilers. So please make sure you have finished episodes 1 through 8 before continuing this interview. What can you share about your audition process and what drew you to wanting to be a part of this project?
Yeah, I kind of it's so funny that sometimes auditions they come in and it's like, oh my God, there's a deadline. and there's like however many pages, and I, oh my god, I have to figure out like when am I taping? When is this person available to tape with me? And blah blah blah. There's all these logistics, and it's just like there's like this immediate like this sense of like urgency. Um, but yeah, with Jules, it was like I read the sides and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to do this, and that just kind of overshadowed all of the other, like there was no stress, or it all kind of went away because I was like, this is going to be such a fun audition, and I'm so excited to like really get into this character. But yeah, so it was, I think, 3 auditions, and the last one was a Zoom, and I got to meet Louisa, which was an absolute treat because Louisa is just one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. And we got to chat a little bit about the character, and yeah, it was a fantastic audition process.
Do you know what you were told? Do you remember like those early character slides or what you was kind of told early on about this character? And I know they evolve as well, and I'm sure maybe they
Yeah.
evolved from the initial audition to when you filmed season 1. But do you remember what kind of got you initially where you said, I'm really excited, I'm really hoping to play this character?
Yeah, I think Jules has a really interesting perspective on the world, and I think I really liked in the sides, that they had so much. They have this like kind of sarcastic, like very truth telling. It is what it is kind of attitude, but then also this very deep care and empathy. And the sibling dynamic also is just, it's built so well, and that was a big part of it for me as well.
Were you familiar with Al Kennedy's book series and the sports romance genre at all? Like, if not, what were those thoughts once you kind of got immersed into these books, and why do you think readers and audiences love it so much?
So I had never read a sports romance book before. It's not the genre I typically go to. However, when I booked the role, I started reading the off-campus books as part of research. And then I read all 5 of the off-campus books, and then I read all of the Briar U spin-offs, and then I continued to go on to read all of the standalone spin-offs. It was just like I was like, wow, this is a really like, it's a very captivating kind of universe, and the characters are so lovable even when they're not. And it is I really love that. I really love that Elle Kennedy, she manages to have this like this levity in her writing where it's so easy to read while also addressing some actually really dark and heavy hitting topics. But it doesn't feel that way when you're reading it because of the way that the characters are handling the situations, and the voices that of the characters that come through in the writing. It's very well written, and I think that I truly think there is something in it for everybody, because I was not expecting to like it as much as I did.
That's so wonderful. And the fact that you read the off-campus series and then you're like, okay, I have to read
Yeah.
more. I have to read
I need
more.
more.
And it's
There's
so
more in this
cool
universe.
that all these characters are kind of interconnected in a way as well. Like they show up in
Yeah.
some of the other series. So it's such a, deep world to get into in the
Yeah.
source material because you mentioned reading for research. Everyone obviously knows that John Logan has an older brother in Jeff rather than a younger sibling in Jules. So, with that said, what did you draw specifically from the source material to inform your knowledge of the world you were stepping into?
Yeah, I took a lot of notes on Logan's book. It was, I mean, because Jules is not in the book, I was drawing a lot on, okay, how is the family dynamic at home? If Jules was around, how would this affect how they're brought up? What would their like influences be? What kind of music would be around when they're growing up? What kind of values would have been instilled? And then things that they might have in common with John Logan versus where they might differ. So yeah, I was kind of drawing on that and envisioning, okay, how might Jules affect the dynamic of what's happening if they were around when this was happening. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to like be reading the source material and having it inform a character that isn't actually in the source material. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to like to kind of build that because there is so much that we are creating from just in the show that is not in the books. So that's exciting.
It's almost like a fun little challenge for you as well,
Yeah,
because, like you mentioned, there's this existing book series, but Jules, you're kind of having to place them into this world, and then I'm sure speak with the creative team as well and kind
yeah.
of develop that character. You've mentioned before things like vision boards. You said music earlier, so can you provide any insight on that in terms of the techniques you use to get into character?
Yeah, for Jules, I have used music. I A lot of it is like they have a very interesting perspective. They're kind of observing as like partially as a journalistic viewpoint. So and I built around the value of truth and authenticity a lot. That's kind of at their core. It's a very strong motivator for them, and being curious about why people are doing things and um, kind of what's actually going on underneath the surface. And yeah, I did have some vision boards as well. Actually, I brought some vision boards to when we were doing pre-production, and it just so happened that we were all kind of on the same page anyways. So it was really cool to have that kind of creative collaboration.
That's awesome. And it's neat to hear the different constructs that kind of inspired Jules for you. Were there any other fictional characters that you drew inspiration from, or did you kind of want to build Jules from the ground up?
Yeah, I'm sure there are fictional characters that I drew from. I don't know that there are any specific ones. But yeah, I'm sure there are because kind of I'm sure there are also real people who I have observed and kind of put mannerisms into. It's always kind of a mishmash of all those things.
Are you able to share what Jules is studying at university as their major?
Yeah, so Jules is a freshman in season one, so they wouldn't have declared their major yet. But the interest and kind of the goal is to pursue journalism.
I can definitely see that
Yeah,
for sure. And we'll talk
yeah.
about those interests and passions for them just in a moment. But how many years apart are Jules and John supposed to be then? Is it a year or two?
It's about a year. It's a little over a year, I believe. Yeah, with John being a little bit older. Yeah.
So relatively close in age. And it's interesting to
Mhm.
also think about that in terms of sibling dynamics because
Yeah.
they are, a year apart. So Jules does run the fifth line, the school's gossip
Mhm.
account, but also does live play-by-play commentating at Hawks games. So tell me about the contrast between these two interests for Jules and their desire to create social commentary at Briar U.
Yeah, I think for Jules there's more overlap than there is contrast, if that makes sense. I think they definitely bring the social commentary kind of style to the hockey games, which actually I think is very smart because it brings it makes hockey more accessible to people who maybe don't know much about the sport but are really interested in the athletes and knowing more about their lives, and who are like a little bit more involved in the campus life. And I think that actually draws a really cool parallel to people who maybe came to the books because of the romance genre, and then kind of didn't really know anything about hockey. But I think the books do a really great job of making it accessible and still exciting and fun to people who aren't maybe that interested in sports, but they like the romance and they like the story. And I think Jules kind of does a similar thing, which is really fun.
That's so true because when they're commentating, sometimes there's comments made where they ask, how is that not a penalty, right? And this is
Yeah,
going straight on a live stream, so you can always hear how they're
yeah,
feeling about the play. But the whole time I was just thinking they also must know a lot of people in different social circles. I know it's very kind of
yeah.
Briar U hockey focused, but gossip sites tend to have sources. So I
Yes.
imagine Jules does know a lot of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think that Jules is necessarily like popular in the typical sense of the word, but they're definitely a chameleon. And I think they're able to do a lot of perspective taking from in a very wide range, like the broad spectrum of people they can relate to and talk to. And I think that makes them a very safe space for people. And they're kind of able to shapeshift between groups and different walks of life.
Did you do any research or preparation for the on ice commentating portion? And if so, where did you look for guidance?
Yeah, I did. I am one of those people who didn't know much about hockey. So I definitely, that was one of the areas where I was like, okay, I gotta do some research here. I watched a lot of hockey. I watched um some of the like commentating highlights. I listened to some podcasts about hockey, but then I also drew from the more celebrity gossip kind of sources, just for the tone that Jules kind of puts in, because it is that overlap. So I kind of mishmashed the two, and I did research in both of the areas.
Because it is quite quick dialogue as well,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah, oh
were you
yeah.
kind of rehearsing a lot, going like, okay, I have to make sure that this sounds accurate for them, but also they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely like Jules can talk, and I'm not necessarily the most talkative person. So that was definitely a thing I worked at. And actually it's funny for the first episode, because Jules is not in the first episode. So we had a big table read for the first episode, where there were lots of people from Amazon there. It was a big official thing. But because I'm not in the first episode, there was the idea of, oh, why don't we just have Jules read all of the action lines? And so I ended up actually narrating the first episode for the table read, which was it was a really fun exercise and kind of practice to be like, oh, I'm actually narrating. I'm literally narrating the hockey game right now, and it's even though I don't in the episode. So that was a really fun kind of challenge that was exciting to take on. And it definitely helped me to develop that voice for Jules. So I was really actually glad that ended up happening.
A really nice practice run, but I'm so
Yeah,
glad that they wanted to include you as well
yeah,
in that table read. And I think all the
yeah.
hard work did pay off because it sounded great in the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it meant a lot for them to trust me with all of that, all of the words. It was a lot of words. But yeah, it felt like a big honor to be able to do that, for sure.
So through dialogue, we do get a glimpse into the Logan family upbringing for Jules and John and how it affected them in different ways. Can you expand on Jules's mainly their relationship with their mother, because it's mentioned she's been in rehab for the fifth time and how that might have affected them in present day.
Yeah, I think it's had a massive effect on Jules. I think it definitely informs their values, wanting to stay authentic, uh, wanting to support Logan and keep him on the right track. You kind of see it a little bit in the scene in the car, where there's this very adamant like, hey, you gotta, this is your dream. Because I think Jules has seen a lot of regret in their life, growing up with an alcoholic parent, and they care about John a lot, and they don't want to see him end up on a path where he has regrets. And so I think that's a primary kind of motivator and value for sure.
It must take its toll because
Mhm.
Jules is still, they're both still very young and having to kind of deal with this on the side and at the same
Yeah,
time go to school and keep up their academics and with John and his hockey. I love the sibling relationship so much. Did you
yeah.
and Antonio discuss their dynamics and how they've had to lean on each other over the years?
Yeah, we did. We talked about it quite a bit. We actually ended up making like a kind of a master doc of like, because there are things in the book that still apply and there are things that don't apply, and then there are things that are new from the show. So it's just kind of a compilation of like all of the things that are true about the Logans, which is really helpful. But I think we kind of both came to it already on the same page. And we kind of already understood each other's characters to an extent, which was really nice. Yeah, it kind of the sibling dynamic kind of came naturally. It's really great working with Antonio. He's incredible.
I love that you have kind of like this fact check document
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go back to, but it's
yeah.
important because you want to
It's
be on the
helpful.
same page.
And there's a lot of information that's kind of scattered all over the place. So it's nice to just have all of the things in one place where it's like this is the thing about the Logans.
And it is evergreen, of course, as
Yeah,
these characters are further developed. What
yeah.
can you say about Antonio as a person and scene partner? Because you did share a number of one-on-one scenes together.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Such a fantastic actor. We were able to talk about the scenes and run them ahead of time, and then also just kind of arrive on the day and play off of each other and see what happened. And it's really nice when you can have both of those things, like the preparation and then also letting go of that and just playing and responding in the moment to each other, which is, I think, some of what's the most fun about acting. So that was a real treat. And we kind of already just kind of naturally had the sibling banter and relationship, which is really fun. It's nice. I couldn't have asked for a better older brother.
I think, is it in real life you are a bit older than
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're actually the older sibling in real life, but it
yeah,
works out the dynamics, I mean, height-wise as well.
yeah. I think also there is a little bit of the role flipping sometimes, where sometimes Jules is more of the voice of reason and sometimes is providing the wisdom of and the tough love of like, hey, get your head in the game, like remember what's important to you. So there is a little bit of older sibling energy there, but yeah, it's fun. We kind of switch roles a little bit.
That is 100% true for anyone who's seen the
Yeah.
season. I mean, he sometimes is in his head, and she
Hmm.
sometimes, they sometimes are. So it's kind of nice to have that role reversal because
Yeah.
you want to be able to lean on each other in these moments.
Hmm.
Garrett, Tucker, and Dean are also like other brothers to Jules. What
Yeah.
is their relationship like with the guys, having spent considerable time with them? by way of their brother, like what does Jules think of them?
Yeah, I mean, definitely they're closest with Garrett, kind of growing up with him. So Garrett really is the more kind of brother figure. But all of them really feel kind of like found family, I think, which is really special. And yeah, I think it is that like kind of voice of reason thing. I think there are moments where Jules is like, all right, like, come on, what's going on here? But I think also it's the chameleon thing. They kind of fit into the group, and there is that brotherly love and sort of unconditional forgiveness for all the dumbassery that goes on. So yeah, there's a mix of that and joining in with the shenanigans sometimes.
For sure. And they're not afraid of the guys, which I just love,
No,
when they call Garrett a Nepo and he
yeah,
doesn't want to hear it at, that point, and they kind of apologize later, but it's
yeah,
all water under the bridge. But
yeah,
I love that they're just a regular at the Hawks house. It must get so wild and chaotic in there
yeah,
sometimes.
for sure.
Is it difficult for Jules knowing their brother's situation, being on scholarship, and then they are constantly around Garrett, who comes from wealth and has opportunities like sponsorships that he is readily able to turn down?
Yeah, I think there's an aspect to it where it's difficult, but I think also having grown up with Garrett around, Jules has seen how much Garrett really truly does deserve all of the opportunities that he's given, and how hard he works. So if anybody was to be handed things from a place of privilege, it should be Garrett because he is also as hardworking as Logan. But yeah, I think there's also definitely a little bit of uh, you know it's not Garrett's fault that Logan doesn't have that level of privilege. Um, but when the liquid IV thing comes along, it's like, well, obviously we're going to take advantage of that. It's there's a it's trying to push Logan to be like, hey, there's an opportunity on your lap.
I mean, it never hurts someone to be opportunistic, right? And
Exactly. Yeah.
he needed that push from
Yeah.
Jules, and I love when they put on the merch later on, and
Yeah.
they're just like, "Hello, like you need to
Yeah.
use this."
Yeah, it's the like equally supportive and annoying younger sibling energy. You gotta have it.
Tell me about creating Jules's look with your hair, makeup, and wardrobe
Hmm.
departments, and did you get any input into their signature style?
Yeah, actually, on this project, I was I was given a lot more creative input than I was expecting on such a big production, which was really cool, and I really appreciated like feeling like I have kind of a creative voice in creating Jules. Like even from the beginning, I had a meeting with Louisa just to talk about who is Jules, which all of that has been really really nice. So yeah, I had a couple of vision boards to be like, what do you guys think of this? And it turns out, yeah, we all were kind of on the same page already, which was great.
Can I ask what was on your vision board and maybe how that
I
factored
mean,
into the final look for them?
yeah, you kind of see it in the show, honestly. Their style is very similar to what I had on the vision board. Kind of the like mishmash together, a little bit grungy, a little bit artsy, a little bit alt, but like things that shouldn't go together but kind of do somehow. Um, that was very like I think everybody kind of envisioned that for Jules. And then the hair as well, just kind of yeah, something a little bit um not not super like basic and natural, but also like not crazy out there. Um, yeah, I think it's yeah, the style that we ended up with was very, very similar to what I had on the vision boards for sure.
So you had to color your hair for
Yes.
the role.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you have to, so you had to wear that hair for the entire, I don't know how many
Yeah.
months you had to shoot it. Was it like around 5 or 6 months, maybe?
No, it was a lot less than that. It was maybe 3 or 4 months ish, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I liked I've been blonde before and I enjoyed it. So it was fun.
And the dark eyeliner. How long did it
Yeah.
take for it to, was it easy to wash off at the end of the day or you
It was fairly easy. I have some really good makeup removers. So yeah, it became habitual.
I'm sure it did, and looking forward to seeing that look back for season
Yeah.
two. And but
Yeah.
you're a regular, a pro at it by now. I'm curious, which was your favorite scene to film and be a part of, and why?
I don't know that I can choose just one. I mean, all of the scenes, I think, with Antonio, where you see just the Logans being siblings and connecting with each other on that level, I think those were my favorites. Just because you get to see more of who both of them are. Um, and and I'm very excited to see how that sibling dynamic grows and shifts as they kind of support each other through things.
We'll talk about one in episode 5, which was one of my favorites. But before that, you were part of the ensemble at Drunk Shakespeare, which is a very cool set and
Yeah.
stage setup. So, how was that production within a production to shoot? And is there anything memorable that you remember from filming?
Yeah, it was the first thing is the set was gorgeous. They set it up so beautifully. Um and I think the thing that stood out for me was the first take that we got of Miles doing his thing and his whole like performance and the big speech that he has. That was seeing him do that for the first time was really it he is just phenomenal. And I was so impressed. And it's as an actor, it's difficult to approach a scene like that where you're kind of the person though you're kind of the one person doing the thing on a stage in a big warehouse with like there's like three cameras and an audience full of people plus a film crew. It's and you're just kind of saying your model. It's a lot. And he knocked it out of the park every time, and I was very impressed.
You mentioned warehouse.
Mhm.
I was told by Kobe, who plays Bo, that it was also very hot in that warehouse. So,
Yeah,
how did you
it
survive the
was
heat?
it was very hot. Uh, we had fans. There was not much that we could do about it, honestly. But yeah, it was very warm in there, for sure. Too many bodies in one space.
You're like, it looks really nice on
Yeah,
camera,
it's
but when you
beautiful.
when
It's
you come back, it
beautiful,
was like
and the performances were amazing despite everybody melting.
Kobe also gave Miles his flowers for that monologue. It was such a cool kind of performance to see because there's so many moving parts in a scene like that. Episode 5, of course, the important one for Jules with Thanksgiving. It brought forward a lot of memories of their mother. So, how was it to kind of get that first opportunity to lean into that more emotional headspace for them while not being on the same page initially as John?
Yeah, those were some of my favorite scenes actually. Like I said, I love all of the parts where you get to see more of the sibling dynamic and who they are and how they kind of got to be who they are. Um, and I mean, I love that I get to play a character who is more of like I get to be some comedic relief. There's a little more levity in this project than most of what I've done before. But I come from an indie drama background. I love the emotional stuff. It's kind of my favorite still. So, the the lighthearted comedic stuff is really really fun, and refreshing. But I do love that I still get to have those scenes where it is a little bit heavier, and the emotions kind of come to the surface.
I love the moment where John arrives and they leave the taco shack in Marshmallow for their
Mm-hmm.
mother.
Yeah.
For Jules, what do you think that meant to them to have him there after initially believing that he was not going to show up for support?
I think it was super meaningful. Because I think especially growing up in that kind of a household, when the siblings can stick together and be there for each other through those kinds of moments, it makes it especially meaningful. And so I think it was the ultimate like, hey, I got your back. I love you. I support you. Let's like we're in this together. Um, which is very much like, it's a very kind of brotherly way of showing love. And I think Jules really feels that from John in that moment. So yeah, just showing up in the moments where you're most needed is I think one of the big love languages. Um so yeah, I think that was very, very impactful for sure.
I know that they had their reasons, but I have to say I was not a fan of Jules trying to sabotage poor sweet Tucker's Friendsgiving meal. How was it to play into, again, you kind of mentioned that comedic aspect because here Tucker is just trying to bring everyone together, and
Yeah.
Jules is like, I'm going to take these marshmallows and hide them from you.
Yeah, I think part of it is just maybe not quite maybe not quite grasping all of the cues of how important and how stressed Tucker might be about this. But I think also it's a little bit of just rebellion against the thing itself. Um because of the way that they've grown up and how it's, Thanksgiving probably looked a lot different in the Logan household than it did in Tucker's household. So I think part of it is that of just like not really understanding the significance of this thing and why does this have to be such a big deal. um, and so like kind of rebelling and pushing against that a little bit, and especially with John, not being on the same page. And I think all of those factors kind of came into play there. But yes, I definitely see the frustration with Jules in that moment, and that's super valid.
I like that you can agree on that, but I'd like that you also mentioned the aspect of rebellion because it's something
Mhm.
that it's just so not traditional to the
Yeah,
Logan family. They do
totally.
all come together at the rink at the end, which is a sweet
Mhm.
moment. Hannah asks Jules for their help with her music. What do you think that meant to Jules to be asked, and what are their thoughts on Hannah having gotten to know her?
Yeah, I think with the music, it's Jules is, like I said, always looking for people's truth and their authenticity and what is really under the surface of everything they're doing. And I think in Hannah, Jules sees that Hannah's truth is that love of music, and that is really where she thrives. And so, of course, Jules being very supportive of all their friends, wanting to support that. And yeah, it's always it's an honor to like to be asked for help and support in the thing that somebody loves. Um, and I think it's probably nice to have another like kind of artsy creative person in the group. I mean the boys are a lot of fun, and it's a lot of like the brotherly love. And but I would imagine it probably gets to be a lot to be around jocks for all the time. So it's probably nice to have like another creative artsy person around.
Jules is part of the group that goes to support Hannah at the pop showcase and is later at Malone's when, spoiler alert, Hunter Davenport arrives. So, firstly, I know that you didn't get to see and hear Ella perform live. So, what were your thoughts after watching the episode and her performance?
Yeah, we got to hear a little bit of what had been recorded in the studio when we were filming. Um, Kind of bits and pieces here and there of different scenes. So I knew that she had an amazing singing voice. But yeah, I think she just brings so much. She brings the vocal skills and also the absolute depth of emotion and vulnerability that I think is so important, and will tug on everybody's heartstrings. Which yeah, is just it's just so perfect for Hannah, and I think she did such a phenomenal job.
One of my favorite moments was also the kind of brief scene that you two share one on one. You know, it's not like you had a big ensemble cast around you when they were at the rink after Jules helps Hannah with the ice skate sounds for her music. So was that nice to kind of share that scene one on one with Ella?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's nice to have like I'm to throughout the season kind of have opportunities to act one on one with people. Because yeah, the ensemble scenes are really fun and they're great. But yeah, I think it's a new level of depth when you can see kind of the dynamic that is between two people. So yeah, and it's Ella's incredible. So it was so great to film that scene.
And I can see, you know, they already have a bit of a friendship there, so would love to
Hmm.
see it develop more. But
Yeah.
secondly, what were Jules's thoughts on that explosive entrance, of course, orchestrated by their brother and the
Yep.
future of the Hawks in that final scene?
I think man, so many feelings. I think throughout the season, Jules is kind of almost almost watching the story unfold along with the audience. They're as the kind of narrator archetype where they're commentating and um, they have this journalistic perspective where they're observing things kind of as the audience is as well. So probably a lot of similar feelings to what the viewers will have, which is, oh my God, what just happened? And also, I need to know what happens next. So I think it's a great way to end the season, and I think it's I am as eager as everybody else to know what happens next.
And of course, they had their phone in hand to capture
Hmm.
all of it. The
Of
content for the
course.
fifth line needs to eat first,
Yep.
obviously.
Obviously. Yeah.
When you kind of heard for the first time that this character of Hunter would be introduced because you have read the book, so you know that
Yeah.
he is part of the Briar You series. I mean, what
Yeah.
were those first thoughts for you?
It's exciting. It is a change from how the stories unfold in the books. But I think all of the changes are there's always a reason for it, and they've been done in a very smart way and in a way that adds to the stories rather than uh really fully changing anything or taking things away. Um, so yeah, I'm for it. As a fan of the books, I'm for it. I think it brings something really exciting to season two.
So, looking ahead to that next season, because I believe filming will start within the next couple of months or so, but what are you looking forward to or hoping to explore with Jules personally and their relationships with other characters?
Yeah, I think well, obviously the sibling dynamic. I'm really excited to see how that grows and evolves. As the Logans kind of support each other through things and maybe butt heads a little bit, probably. Uh But I'm also just I'm excited that Jules's story is so unknown right now. I think yeah, I I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm excited to find out. I think, yeah, I think part of what is so exciting about it is that there's no pre-written story to kind of draw on and have expectations for. It's a blank slate. Anything could happen.
And it was just announced a few days ago that India Fowler was cast as
Yes.
Grace Ivers, who is Logan's love interest, in his book In the Mistakes. So, are
Yeah.
you hoping to maybe have some scenes opposite India? Like, is there any character that you would like to share the screen with more?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I would love to have some scenes with her. Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know that there's any I don't know that there's anybody specifically that I want to have more screen time with. I think anyone and everyone really is my answer. I know that's a boring answer, but like I think I think Jules could get along with anybody, and I that's part of what I love about them as a character. So yeah, I think really whoever I get to connect with this season, I'm excited about it.
Or like it could be just Jules by themselves or with another character, but
Who knows?
I love the whole chameleon aspect because, like
Yeah.
you mentioned, they really can adapt to different social
Hmm.
situations. Now, with projects that are based on IP and source material, there can be those built-in expectations. As Jules is a new character and there were slight changes made to the Logan family from the books, what do you hope viewers and fans ultimately take away from Jules and their role in Logan's life and story?
Yeah, I hope that people see the value in Jules' perspective. I hope that and I hope that there's an like a kind of an open-minded understanding that that there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing being taken away from Logan's story. This is like Jules is an addition and not like a not taking away not taking away anything about the way that the story unfolds. Um, and I think it's I'm hoping that people can see that John Logan is the same John Logan that they love from the books. Just also with an annoying little sibling around to, you know, give them some tough love.
I mean, sometimes someone has to give that tough
Yeah.
love and be the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of like the online discourse or online discussion ever since the trailer's been released?
A little bit. I'm generally
Not
staying
on
a little bit
social
more
media.
offline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have TikTok. It is I'm gonna try to post more on Instagram. I'm very bad about being on Instagram. I need to be more present on Instagram actually, as an actor. But yeah, no, I haven't really been reading much about it. But I've heard lots of positive feedback from people, which is really nice.
Well, I'm such a fan of Jules and what they bring to the story. I think you should be so proud of and happy with your work. Like those scenes that you share with Antonia are so special. So I
Yeah.
can't wait for season two to see more of these
Yeah.
characters. So congratulations on the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you so much.
I have one more question for you. It's a bit of a wild card question.
Okay.
Can you name all of these Spice Girls?
All of the Spice Girls. Okay. There's Ginger Spice, Scary Spice, Baby Spice, Sporty Spice, and oh my gosh. Um, I'm blanking on the last one.
You're almost there. Do you want a hint? I'll give you a hint.
Sure. Sure.
Victoria Beckham.
Mm, I don't know.
It's Posh Spice.
Posh Spice.
You were so
Of
close. You got
course.
4 or 5, so that was excellent. And it was a curveball question.
That's
So
80%.
yeah,
That's a,
that's
that's
eight,
a that's a that's a B.
B plus maybe? I
Yeah.
don't remember how grading systems work, but that was excellent. Julia, it's been so nice to reconnect with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. This is great.
Hopefully we can catch up for season 2. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed for that. But until then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Julia Sarah Stone as Jules in Off Campus. Season 1 is on Amazon Prime Video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.